everyone, and welcome to the virtual Jaglery. I created this virtual art gallery for my students to share with them during hybrid and virtual learning. The reason why I ended up doing it this way is because I really liked sharing artwork. I share artwork on my Art at the Cube Instagram all the time. I also really love doing Art Sonia with my students, and I just wanted them to kind of have another outlet that they could see what their peers are doing and to kind of experience art in a different way, since we weren't all going to be in the same building together at one time. So I'm going to show you how to create this virtual gallery yourself, and that way you'll know and learn how to share one on your LMS, whatever your school is using, or even just to share through social media and kind of keep an updated gallery going. So first we're going to go into Google Slides. This is the easiest way to actually create the virtual gallery, and if you've created a Bitmoji classroom, it's a really similar process because it's a live document, and so you can continue to add and change elements inside of the actual presentation, and then it will automatically update onto your LMS system as long as you embed that into your classroom. So we're going to start with a blank presentation, and I'm one of those people that like to go ahead and name my presentations. And now you don't really necessarily need a theme because we're just going to start with a blank document, and I'm just going to go ahead and change this layout to blank as well. And then when it comes to background, you can do this a number of different ways. I have seen people that have done them in terms of using the background here, just adding in images. It's kind of whatever ends up working the best for you, but doing it this way where you have one constant background is nice because then you don't have to try to link the background. So when you click on background, you are going to want to hit choose image, and then we will go to an image Google search, and we will do, let's just type in gallery and see what we get. Okay, or let's do gallery blank walls. Now this one's kind of interesting. Now the one that I chose for my original virtual gallery, I liked it because it only had the one image in the middle, and then I could choose to put things on either side. It's also why I kind of like this one. So we're going to use this and hit insert. And then now if you wanted to add other elements like furniture or posters, a sign even, that's what we can do at this point. So I'm just going to go over to Google, and I have found that using it this way is a lot easier because sometimes when you're searching for images inside of Google Slides, it, number one, doesn't always find the things you want, and number two, when you add in that element of transparent background, sometimes things aren't actually transparent. So I like to go into a regular Google tab, go to images, and then let's add a bench. Or maybe a couch. Now let's do a bench. So a gallery bench. And then here is the key. We want to go to tools and then to color. And you can actually make it transparent so that every single image that appears is going to have that transparent background. So you don't have to try to worry about deleting the background or anything. So let's see what we've got here. So I think this is a really nice bench, and it has a shadow, plus and plus. So now I will do right click and copy the image, go over to my virtual gallery tab and paste this guy in. And then it's all about just sort of placing it where you want and figuring out sizing. And there we go. So I can add in maybe even like a little house plant. Let's do that. We'll make it a little homey. And which houseplant do we want to do? Perfect. Copy and paste. And I love this because then I don't have to spend the time actually deleting the background. It's already done. Now, if you are like me and you're like, well, that doesn't look realistic. It doesn't have a shadow. If you go to Format Options, you can add a drop shadow. And then it's not like the perfect drop shadow. You can change the angle and the distance and things like that. But it's probably not going to be the most realistic shadow in the entire world. But that's okay, because we're just doing this for dramatic effect anyway. But there is my little house plant. And it's very cute. And I'm trying to keep these areas open because obviously that's where I'm going to have student artwork. So now we need maybe a name for our gallery. The easiest way to do that is to use the text tool and to put in the text. But another really interesting little tidbit is if you wanted to add in a sign or a banner or something, and you didn't have the fonts that you want, a really easy website to use is 1001fonts.com. I download fonts probably a couple times a day. I love different fonts and finding different things. So let's try to find something Halloweenish. That way we're getting something that is with the times here. That's why I love also the virtual classroom, is because you can basically change up the scenery and what's in the gallery based off of the seasons. Which one shall we use? Oh, I kind of like this one. So, and you can see that I've added in they have like this preview text option. So whatever you want your sign to say, you can put that in the preview area, and then it will show you a preview of the font. And then I'm just going to right click and copy the image, go to the virtual gallery and paste. And now I have my fancy font. Marvelous. And then if I wanted to, let's see what a drop shadow looks like with this. It's pretty nice. Let's do maybe an orange drop shadow. I like. Very cool. Okay. So if I even wanted to make it more fall-esque, I could add some pumpkins or even a banner, and I'm still going to follow that same process of finding the images and then pasting them in. But to move forward, we want to now add our Bitmoji. And so a big part of this is to have the Bitmoji extension inside of your Google. So in order to do this, you are simply just going to search for the Bitmoji extension, and then it will ask you if you want to add that extension to Chrome, which you do. Then it will have you log in. Connect the extension, and then you are set and ready to go. Now, the great thing about it is you should see it in your extensions area. So we're going to pin this so that we can actually see it and get to it easier. And then we'll go back to our virtual gallery, and then all I have to do is click on the little Bitmoji extension, and then it shows me my Bitmoji. So the easiest way that I have found to just get like regular poses is to actually type in pose. And then you've got a bunch of really random, just silly poses that you can use for the Bitmoji classroom. You can type in a bunch of things and you'll get something different each time. Sit is also a good one because you'll have the one that like sits with coffee, just the regular sitting one. And so we'll use that. We will right click to copy and then paste. Now I can sit on my little bench ready to view some of my students' artwork. I like to sort of crop this image because if you notice it has a really wide square, and in order to kind of help with like the placement of things, especially if you're going to link the images of student artwork to other things, you would want to crop your Bitmoji space just a little bit. So when you crop, you just want to sort of drag this as close to the actual Bitmoji as you can without cutting any part of it off. Now you can see the square is much smaller and I wouldn't have any trouble linking anything inside of these squares. Now another good thing is you can link your Instagram. If you have a class Instagram or even a class Facebook or a Twitter or whatever, you can do that. I have a little button on mine where I link the Instagram Art at the Coop in the corner of the page. So I would suggest that if you have something similar, you actually do that as well, so students can not only visit you here on the virtual gallery, but also through your social media outlets as well. Now let's link some artworks in here. So I always make a folder where I can see and kind of collect student artwork and use it for resources as well. And so once I have some artworks collected, it's a really easy sort of like pick and drop as to what I want to put in. And you can do it a number of ways. If you want to like cover the squares, you can. If you want to make the artworks fit inside of the actual frames, you can do that as well. But it's just sort of how you want your gallery to look. So we'll just drag and drop some images in here. And if you do something like this and you need to change the order, just right click, click order, and then send backward. Might have to do that a couple times depending on where the image is. And then if you want, you can add in student information as well. I did that really simply with mine. I didn't try to include too much information. I just did the artist's first name and last initial, which class they were in, and then what project they were actually working on for the piece. And so you can add in those elements as well. I also think it's a really cool idea that if you wanted to link these objects, you could to the actual assignment or lesson or presentation to what the actual project was. And I'll kind of show you. I did that on this one. So if I go to present and I click on this picture, it actually goes to my presentation about their mixed media portraits and what they were supposed to do. And so it's a really good reference where you can kind of direct students to this area, or even if you share it with other teachers, your lessons that are linked to the actual gallery themselves. So they have examples and the origin of the lesson and an easy way to recreate it themselves with their own students. So when it comes to linking images inside of your presentation, it's a really good idea to do this even with some of the minute things like your name or even your Bitmoji. The reason for this is when you embed them into your LMS, if kids are clicking on multiple areas of the page, it will advance each of the slides. So you can do this a number of ways. If you want it to actually advance the slide, then that's fine. Just leave it how it is. But if you want like the art with Miss Burris to stay and to not have them advance the slide, then you would want to link this to the slide in the presentation and to the slide 1, since that's the only one we have at the moment. And you would want to do that to each of the different elements that you've added. Now, if you want to, for example, like I mentioned before, link an example of the artwork to the presentation or to more examples or to even the assignment on your LMS, you could link that and then just simply add in the URL. And that would make it a very, very easy link to something different. So I'll give you kind of the example of what mine looks like inside of my LMS. So on my Canvas page, I have the logo for the Jagglery, and then it takes me to the page where this is my live embedded document. And so like I said before, this one will actually link to the presentation. But if I click anywhere else, it just advances the slide. Down here in the corner is where I've linked my Instagram, and that again takes us to a new tab and goes to my Art at the Coop Instagram. So that's why I like this, because kids can navigate, they can click on things, they can advance the slide however they want, and they'll see each of those examples from different classmates. And that's why I like to embed it, because I don't have to continually add or change this embedded document. It just stays a live document, and every time that I upload or change and add artworks, it will upload and change as well. So when we go to our virtual gallery and we're ready to present, we're ready to add it into our online classroom, we are going to go to the File and the Publish to the Web. The embed code, so you can do it with a link, but the embedding code is the way that I would go. And if you don't change the auto advance, it will default to 3 seconds. So I always change this to every minute. That way kids can actually spend time on those slides that they want. Start the slideshow as soon as the player loads, and restart if you want it to loop. And then you just hit publish. And are you sure? Indeed. Here's the embed code, so you're going to want to copy this. And then I have my template class. So on a page that I've made inside of Canvas, and I want to add in my embedded slideshow, I'm going to go to Edit. And then in Canvas, it's relatively easy because we have this Insert Media button. And then it has an embed option, and then I just paste that embed code right there. And then it gives me my virtual classroom. I hit save, and then I can see the preview of what that live document looks like. So that's how I can embed inside of Canvas. It's very, very easy to find the instructions on how to embed things inside of Schoology or Google Classroom, depending on whatever your LMS is. So I encourage you to, look into those things so that you have this live document inside of your classroom. And again, as much as you change this, it will change with it. That's why embedding is so nice, because it, again, stays as that live document inside of your Google slideshow. So guys, I hope you learned a little something today and you have some fun creating your own virtual gallery. I know it's been something that I've really looked forward to and have enjoyed doing for my students, and I think they have kind of enjoyed seeing their artwork in a new format as well. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.